Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Billy. Today I would like to share with you a bit of background about my sewing journey so far and what I have learned for the almost 2 years of the time that I have been sewing garments primarily for work. And today's video will be in the format of a Q&A, and I will also put timestamps of the questions, and so you can easily scroll down for topics that are of interest to you. So the first question is, why did I decide to sew garments for myself? Actually, I started it because out of necessity, really. So about 2 years ago, I feel that my work wardrobe really needed refreshing, and so I started looking for replacements. I had not purchased really anything for work for quite a few years. And what I was able to find within my budget was quite discouraging. Generally, the fabrics were sort of low quality fabrics, a lot of synthetics. And so even with a fairly generous budget per garment, I simply could not find garments that are, say, 100% natural fibers that is also lined with 100% fiber. So they're always lined either with acetate or polyester, and I really do not want to go that route. And so since I've always sewed the cushion covers, pillowcases, and also covers for my sofa, I thought that for sure I can learn to sew garments for myself. And so that was how I got started. Question number 2, where did I learn to sew? And so after I decided I wanted to learn to sew garments, I simply went to New York City's garment district. And then at the time, the only fabric store I knew was moved because of its collaboration with the show Project Runway. So I went there and started looking around, and then I discovered that they actually offer sewing classes. But at the time, they didn't have anything open at the time. So, but I signed up for email notification. So about March of last year, well, actually, I guess February of last year, I got some emails saying they have new classes coming up. So I just signed up for a class. It's a 6 weekly classes on Saturdays. And the pattern they gave us was this very easy Vogue V9197. And I shared the garments that I made in my very first video number 1. And so there, we learned the basics of how to read a pattern, etc. But at the time, the instructor had me cut out a bodice size 10 based on my measurement. So the first 2 dresses that I made from this V9197 were also in size 10. But very quickly I realized that I do prefer a more fitted bodice for work. And so in the future, I just generally cut out a size 8 on these commercial patterns. The next topic that I would like to touch on is the importance of finding our own personal styles. And so, for example, personally, I know the style that I like generally is a bit preppy and also generally relatively fitted. And so that's what I focus my energy on. And because there are always these shiny new patterns that come out all the time. And obviously it's very tempting to try a lot of new things. However, if we know what we like and what suits us, then we will not end up spending time and money on styles that do not suit us, and then we just end up being relegated to the back of the closet. And so even though finding your personal style obviously takes trial and error, and over time gradually we will develop into our own personal styles, but I think it would be a good starting point to understand, just look at your current closet to see what you have that will give you an idea what you are drawn to, and therefore we can focus our energy on sewing garments that are along that same line. The next one that I have learned as a new sewist is the importance of a basic bodice that fits us. For me, I have developed this bodice, which I used here for this viscose dress that I talked about in my video 40. And this bodice is developed from a new look dress, N6633. And originally I cut off the dress, cut out the bodice from the dress pattern to make the N. Taylor Loft inspired dress that I talked about in my video 33. But over time, as I make different garments and I further refine the fit. So now this bodice fits me very well, and I can adapt it to many different reiterations by changing up the sleeves and the neckline, etc., to give me a great variety. The benefit of a well-fitted bodice is that if you see a new pattern that just came out with features that you like, generally I have found that I don't really need to buy that new pattern. I could just modify my existing pattern and adding the features that I like from a new pattern, and I could make my own garment. And this way I don't need to keep spending money on new patterns and also spending time to try to get the new pattern to fit my body measurements. And so this way is both a money and a time saver. And I am really happy that that's what I did. And so I have made so many dresses from this very basic pattern. And as you can see, by changing out the sleeves and also the neckline, a basic bodice pattern is so versatile. So I really do encourage you to do the same for you. The next topic is the choice of fabrics. And so if you've been watching my channel, you know I simply love quilting cotton. And one of the reasons is quilting cotton is inexpensive relatively, and also the choice of colors and print, is extensive. And also because it doesn't shift around, it's not slippery, so it's very friendly for a new sewist. And also, because it's quite sturdy. So if you made a mistake and you need to unpick the seams and resew it, generally the fabric is sturdy enough to withstand multiple, picking and unpicking, etc. And so that works great. And as you gain confidence in working with different fabrics, then you can gradually shift to other types. And also actually I find wool is also very friendly for a new sewist, because one benefit of wool over quilting cotton is that wool actually naturally has a bit of a give, and so it allows you to ease in the sleeves very smoothly. So I noticed that even the early dresses that I made from wool, the sleeves look pretty good, even though the cotton versions sometimes, are not so perfect. But I do think wools and cotton are both excellent choices for new sewist. And obviously gradually, as you gain confidence, and also we'll try it out, say for example silk or viscose. I do find viscose the most tricky of them all, and so just be patient if you decide to make something from viscose, because you can always unpick the seams and resew it. So that is what I learned and would like to share with you. The following are the habits that I found that are incredibly important when it comes to actual sewing. And so the first one is to be very precise in the cutting out of the fabric and in the sewing itself. And so for example, to help me achieve precision in cutting, I use the cutting mat and I cut out everything with a rotary cutter. And this way it allows me to put the the pattern pieces very close together, and therefore that's how I managed to make a lot of garments with not a lot of fabrics. And in a way, of course, that also saves me money and allows me to buy higher quality fabrics. And also to achieve the precision in sewing, basically I really pay attention to my seam allowance. And my seam allowance that I use is a standard 5/8 of an inch, 1.5 centimeters. And this way, I like this a bit wider seam allowance than say half an inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. The reason is since I'm still a new sewist, so invariably I would need to change up the garment for a better fit. And sometimes I do need to let out the side seams a bit. And so if it's 5/8 of an inch, I could easily reduce the seam allowance by half. And therefore, because it's 4 sides, it will give me an additional 1 inch ease. And generally that is sufficient. And still, I would still have sufficient amount of the side seams left. So I'm not so concerned about the seams fraying, etc. And so I thought that would be helpful, to mention that. And then also, since we're new sewist, I do think the seam ripper is really one of my best friends because I cannot recall ever making any garment without using a seam ripper. It's just the extent of how much I use it. But then it's okay because we are learning. So I would rather do it right, or at least to the best of my abilities now, versus say just let a garment languish in the back of the closet, because that would just be a waste. And so now that I am more experienced, I have gone back and changed the fit of my prior makes. For example, the black wool gather skirt that I paired with the white Onella blouse that I talked about in my video 41. I actually had to redo the invisible zippers because originally the way I inserted was too tight, so there was a bit wavy at the back of the center bag, of the zipper. And so now that I'm more experienced, I went back and changed the zipper. So obviously that requires unpicking the entire exterior fabric and also the lining, but I did not mind it because I knew the result would be worth it, and then I will be very confident in wearing a garment that fits me. And the final tip that I would like to share with you, and perhaps also is the most important tip that I have learned, is that it is, it's so important to be patient. It takes time to develop any skills. And so it's okay if a garment just takes longer than you would like it to be. And because it's okay, we're not in a race for anything. We're simply doing this as a hobby, and obviously it's a very useful hobby because we also, at the end result, we also have beautiful garments that we are proud to wear. But it's okay if we have to unpick something and resew it, unpick something and resew it again. It is fine, and don't worry about it too much. Just do your best, and you can always go back and fix it again in the future when your skills improve. So these are the tips that I have found to be very helpful to me as a new sewist, and I hope that you will find some of them helpful as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will stay safe, and I hope I will see you soon. Bye-bye!